This is the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar for Wednesday, December 24th, 2025. And it's evening now, so in the Jewish system it always goes, the night starts the next day. But it was Yom Revi'i. This is for Yom Revi'i, the fourth day of Tevet, 5786. The parsha of the week is Parshat Vayigash. And the Daf Yomi for today is the Vachim 101. This is the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar. And it's a lunar and solar calendar, and several other calendars as well. Today on the calendar, the 4th of Tevet, or the 4th of any month. See, as you can see, there's no names of months on it. These are not names, these are just, it's writing it should be changed, I think, to just Hebrew letters, but there's no names of months on it, and it's just numbers, and that's why all the months fit into this calendar. If it's the fourth day of any month in this dispensation, so I call it dispensation, is the way, the configuration of where certain months start out. It's always 3 months, but where do you start that 3 months? That's the question. So that's dependent on which dispensation you're in. If you're in dispensation 1, you'll start it from the mutable months. If you're in dispensation 2, you start it from the cardinal months. And if you're in dispensation 3, you start it from the fixed months. And those terminologies, cardinal, mutable, and fixed, you can look up astrology, you can see what they are. On the web, there's plenty of information about those things. Mutable, cardinal, fixed, or cardinal, fixed, mutable. So those three are the three different types of months that are in play. And when we're dealing with the third dispensation, all of the cardinal months start here. So Rosh Hashanah started here, Tevet starting here, Tammuz, Nisan starting right here. And the fourth day of any month in this dispensation is in box number 24. And what's interesting is that today is the 24th. It matches up because we're in a plus 20 reality. It might be a good time to speak about realities now because we came in contact with that scenario. My study of the sun and the moon is very specific in terms of its theme, its purpose, its motif. The sun and the moon are talked about in Psalm 72. It says, Lifnei Hashemesh, Im Hashemesh, with the sun, Im Shemesh, Vilifnei Reach, with the sun, Im Hashemesh, Vilifnei Gereach, Im Hashemesh, Vilifnei Gereach, with the sun and before the moon. And that, the implications of that have to do with the ultimate redemption. And I'll stop at that, but basically you can look in Psalm 72, and I might record that on my Tanakh channel. But anyway, the idea, my work with the sun and the moon is based on the Gregorian calendar, which is the solar calendar, and the Hebrew calendar, which is basically a lunar calendar. It is connected to the sun as well. It's a lunar solar calendar, but it's basically a lunar calendar. And there's this method, this concept that I came up with, that is called a plus or minus reality system. And what that means is that any given time in the year, we're either a plus or a minus a certain reality. When I say reality, the way I'm defining that is which paradigm I'm using. If I'm in a solar calendar and today is December 24th. So I'm in that reality of a Gregorian paradigm. So I'm in, it's an imaginative way of seeing mentally where you are in terms of numbers. If I'm in the reality of the Gregorian, I'm inside the number 24. I'm in 24. Just think about, if today's the 24th, think about being inside the number 24. Okay? All right. Okay, it's an imaginative approach to numbers and time. Okay. So what do you do with that? Okay, well, we'll get to that. I mean, I hope we'll get to it. I mean, I hope I'll get to it because I'm still learning what it means. But it's a journey. But okay, so now, but if I'm in the Hebrew calendar, where am I? Where am I? I'm inside of the number 4. I'm in what I refer to as a 4 reality. So what this does is it takes those 2 realities and it holds them in balance. It holds those 2 realities in balance. And that's why I call it the plus and minus reality system. If I'm simultaneously in a 24 reality and I'm also in a 4 reality, what is the distance between those 2? What is the difference between those 2? So that in this methodology, in this study, in this calendar concept, it's what is known as a plus 20 or a minus 20, respectively, depending where you're coming from, reality. So from the Gregorian perspective, I'm in a, you could see it both ways, but I'll start with the plus way. I'm in a plus 20 reality because it takes a plus 20 to bring you from the moon to the sun. I need 20 points to bring me from 4, which is where the realm of the moon, the reality of the moon, and I want to go from there and I want to bring it to the reality of the sun. So I need 20 units of energy, 20 widgets, 20 whatever. I need 20 pieces. And we find ourselves now in a plus 20 reality. At night it goes up, but because we're already now, it goes down. Right now we're in the 5th, actually, because it's at night. So it's actually really, at this point, as of right now, it's actually only a plus 19 or a minus 19. You could also say it's a minus 19 reality because from the perspective of from the Hebrew side, I need to subtract 19 to take myself from the sun to come into the moon. If I'm now, let's go back to 20 because this is what it's for. Because tomorrow it will be plus 20 again. So really this month is plus 20. Now, I have been studying these. I've been doing this every time there's a Rosh Chodesh, meaning every time there's a new moon in the Hebrew calendar, I take a note of it. And every time there's a new month of the Gregorian calendar, when we turn December, and we're going to turn pretty soon, God willing, we're going to be in January, the new year, 2026. Just a few days away, about a week away, right? About a week, a little more, 8 days. Okay, 7 days. No, 8 days, because today's 24th plus 7 is 31, so 8 days. So 8 days, we'll be in the new month, and then we'll revisit where it is. It resets every month. So whether it's January, or whether it turns to Tevet, or whether it turns to Shvat, or whether it turns to February, whenever it changes, I'm always marking down the distance between the 2. And I'm studying what does it mean to be in a plus 20 reality. What I do is I look back, and I started this in 2019, right before the turn of the century, turn of the decade. And we all know what happened in 2020. The big C, the big corona. And, during that time, as I remember, it was a plus 4 reality. So let's just say corona came in March 14th. So then it was Adar 18. I think that's what it was, or vice versa. Maybe it was Adar 14 and March 18. No, I think it was March 14th, Saturday, and that Saturday was Adar 18. I'm pretty sure it's a plus 4. So I take a note of that. When the Corona came out, it was a plus 4. So then I look any other time in the calendar, and I see when else is there a plus 4. It doesn't happen so often. And all of these, they go. Many times it would be the next month it would be a plus 5, the next month it would be a plus 6. And then because it would turn, I don't know how to explain this exactly, so I'll try. When it comes to, let's say, the end of the month, and there's a 1, and then it's like 31 or 30, so then 30, and then it's a 1, of the other months it's a plus 29. So then that shifts it a little bit, and then it gets on a different track. And so I go through all different plus and minus scenarios. There's all different levels. And I'd like to study more about the perihelion and the aphelion of the moon. When the moon seems more visible or less visible, it seems closer or less, not as close. So I think there's something similar to this. When the distance is extremely close or when it's extremely far. I've seen realities where it's like plus 18, plus 19, plus 20. Like right now, it's a plus 20. It's a big gap. But in just one moment, it can just be a plus 4 because when it changes, it's like 30. Let's say it's 27. Like 1, 2. You know what I'm saying. I hope. But anyway, so plus 20 reality. So like going back to as Corona was a plus 4, and then something else. When there was a war here, the Iran war was also plus 4 reality. So I'm trying to make a sort of analysis. Is that do intense things happen when it's a plus 4? But just a thought. It's a limited thought. It's a thought with not a whole bunch of data, but there are building blocks. That's the method. It's the method. And again, I'm studying. So anyway, so today is the 20th. It's a plus 20 reality, meaning 4 plus 20 is 24. And actually, as it stands, we're actually in box right here, box number 24. And that doesn't happen so often. Okay, that doesn't happen very often. So that's as far as the 4th of Tevet. But in terms of the 24th day of December, it's always going to be in box number 19. And box number 19, when we were in Kislev 24, which was the day before Hanukkah, we were here in box number 19. And I said, when we get to December 24th, we're also going to be in box 19. And lo and behold, here we are, December 24th, and we are in box 19. And I think what I said then, I'll say it again now, is that in Genesis 19:24, and it reminds me of Gabriel Sanders, if you're listening. He said that his grandmother was born in 1924, and so I always remember that because it was talking about a passage in Genesis, chapter 19, verse 24, where it says that the Lord rained down fire from the Lord. So there's all kinds of implications. What could that mean? And there's this is a topic that Christians bring up. It's why does it say that the Lord rained down fire from the Lord? Why doesn't it just say the Lord rained down fire? And so the idea is that there's a Lord who's in heaven, and then there's a Lord also who's on earth. It's the same Lord, but there are different dimensions of that one Lord, the different aspects. The Lord was in heaven, and then there's a Lord, and He's also on earth simultaneously, and He's raining down fire, and it comes from heaven. But and then I think Rashi says there that this is just the manner of Torah speaking. It's just like you find with Lemech said. He speaks in the third person about it. And Lemech said to the two wives of Lemech, he writes it off to not being anything significant about any theological suggestion about the nature of God, that God is both in heaven and on earth, and he has two different aspects, two different forms, as it were, but not forms, God forbid that there's two different forms of two different gods. No, but there's different, so to speak, versions or different aspects of God. One is in heaven, and then a part of him, sort of a portion of God, or an emanation of God, is on earth that's doing the will of his Father in heaven. So that's the concept that I think when I see 1924, I always think of that. So that's the concept there. So like anything else, I dwell on that passage, and I don't know if I've made up my mind about it, but I think it's interesting. And I guess we'll leave it at that.